So it's just the three of us. Woo.
At the moment, eh? Oh, hold on.
But here,
Oh, here comes trouble.
I don't
Lovely
get the
trouble.
engine, so this is done.
Hi.
So I have a request. Please don't ever schedule this before presentation day ever again, because hot mess. I'm still finishing the damn thing. It's unfair.
Oh no,
That's
that
what
is a
we're-
bit unfair.
It's
you'll be
really
fine.
unfair.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Don't give away any of our secrets now, man, because we're not in the house of game changers now.
Oh, I won't give anything away.
Yeah, but then again, what can anybody do? I mean, we've like got an hour and a half. I mean, Rianne.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
I am knee deep in this engine thing, y'all. I have been on support for like every day. I don't know if anybody else is on support like all the time, but they probably hate me when they see my name.
Yeah.
pop.
Well, apparently I got an email saying, and they
Yeah,
didn't
I
need to
just
send it
thought
to
quite
me,
enough.
and they said don't. Apparently it said if Amanda comes on, pretend you're not there. And then I had another one saying you weren't meant to see that. I don't know what it means, but
Yeah, not a surprise. I know them. I have them on a first name basis.
oh, I say.
I know which ones I like, which ones help me really, really well, and which ones don't help as well.
Oh,
Yeah, I've got to know that as well.
Great. So,
I-
by the
I
way,
tried-
guys, yep,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining on this call. So I know that there are some members that might be gonna be late, so some of them might be preparing for the presentation. But anyways, as discussed by the mentors team, so this is gonna be an hour session for like sharing of your best practices that you have using the engine, and we will be doing this each month. And as Miss Bobby mentioned, we're making sure that this is not going to be happen. Prior to the presentation, so that it's you don't have going to be like a panic. Anyways, this call is being recorded so that other members can also like see this after like any time, and we are also being live stream as well to our group. So without further ado, the share screen is already enabled. As you all know, guys, that sharing is caring, and this is actually the mentors team come up to this because this is somehow benefit us all, as we all know that engine is it can definitely provide us like proficiency when it comes to when it comes to your business. So yeah, you can go ahead, feel free to share your screen, and let's get started.
Right, who's gonna start that?
Who goes first?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
No.
I
Yes.
went, I don't see AI wizard on my engine. Does anyone else see it or
It's,
Not yet.
it's only
Next
coming
week.
next week. Next week's
next
coming on.
week? Okay, okay. Thank you.
Has anybody else delved into calendars? Because I just figured out a calendar issue that might help other people. I've been really, really into calendars, and I found out talking to support yesterday that and this may help. I remember who was asking about seeing calendars. I don't remember who it was, but whoever that was. When you go to make a calendar, there are like 4 options. I thought that the one that I should choose is events because it's a single person event. That is not true. You should use round robin apparently for your calendar. So I have to now go back and redo all my calendars, redo all my automations, redo all my links, redo everything. And it's going to be very confusing to everything. So if you are going to delve into calendars, apparently you need to do round robin calendars.
Did they say
Yeah.
why, Amanda?
Why
Uh,
is that? What's
yes.
the deal?
Yes, but I don't exactly understand why.
Oh, okay.
They said why, but I don't know why. Darren, do you know why?
I don't know why, but Andrew might.
You can't
Yeah,
do groups.
Andrew, you've been in calendars.
in round robin, I'm very sketchy with thing, but round robin, as far as I'm aware, you can do groups with, and you can't with some of the others. And I think you need groups to group things together so you can see things better, from what I
Okay.
understand.
I thought round robin meant if you had a team of people, then when someone scheduled, they would choose who they wanted to schedule with, but that's not exactly what it means, apparently. And what the text said to me was events mean like a webinar or a one-day event that you put on. And they're not necessarily intended for a calendar that will be used often, even though you can use them that way, because I do currently use them that way. Whoever it was that was having trouble seeing all of their appointments on their like calendar dashboard, it was probably because they were events and you can't see everything in events. The issue that I had was I wanted to block, now that school's starting, I wanted to block off time so that no one could book appointments on a specific Thursday evening when we had a ball game or something. And I had to go in, because all of my calendars were events, I have to go in and block that time off on every single calendar. There's no overall, because each of my calendars are set up as events, there's no overall calendar that I could block time on. And so I reached out to support to find out why. And they said it's because all of your calendars are events and not round robin booking.
Yeah.
So
Round robin makes the calendars talk to each other, maybe?
maybe.
I don't know anything about calendars. I clicked it and opened it and shut it down. I was like, I don't get it. I don't know how to do it.
It was me that was having the issue, but it was nothing to do with that. I physically did not have the calendar on the left hand. They had not loaded it. So everyone else has blah 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 calendars. Mine was missing, and it took about 3 weeks to get it up, but I've got it up now, so I could create a calendar. But then there was no point in doing anything because I couldn't physically see it. But that the issue I was having wasn't related. I know people were trying to give me lots of advice, but mine was very specific in it had physically not been put on the sidebar, but it has now, which is great.
That's
about that advice, Claire.
What was that?
Sorry about that advice I was giving you. No.
It's fine, because I was sort of thinking, but I can't see it. All I want is to see it, and I don't know why everyone else had theirs, but obviously they just miss me. But it's fine now. In actual fact, what I have done is, because I was using mine for a very specific purpose to my design consultations for this new email, where you put videos and bits and bobs on it. So I wanted to create where they're reminded of the date and the time. So that's why I kind of wanted mine, but I could do it. It's really easy. And the other thing you can do is when you create automations, which you can trigger them from when an appointment is made. So so you can trigger them from when an appointment is made. So I've got one automation. As soon as I put the appointment in as a DC viewing, or whatever you want to call it, it automatically goes into the automation as soon as I press make appointment, and it sends out that email to them with the appointment date on. So that's quite nice and easy.
Yes, that's what I'm doing with my calendars too. So I have one for each of my design consultations. So I set them up with like a first birthday design consultation separate from my newborn design consultation, separate. So each one is a calendar, so that when they trigger the automation, they get a specific text and email specific to those. I mean, I could share if you guys want to see how I set mine up, because what I found is, so this one is my order pickup is scheduled. So when a customer books an appointment on that specific calendar, it triggers this automation. And so I've been working on these if else splits, because what happened was they would get an SMS message and an email that would say you are booked, blah, blah, blah. And then if they rescheduled, they were getting the same exact email and text message which I didn't like because it was it was obvious that it was an automated message. Like my first one was like, you know, thank you, thank you, thank you. Your product is ready. We're excited to see you. And if they get that same one again, if they reschedule, it just looked weird to me that instead of getting a message that said, you know, you've been rescheduled, they got the same message again. And I would feel if I got that same message again, that it was you know, a problem or a glitch or something. So I had to make mine say it has an automation of if else that checks to see if they have the pickup appointment booked tag. And if it doesn't have that tag, the original, and then if it does have that tag, they get your appointment has been rescheduled text. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So anytime you would change, like I just changed the time of one of mine to an hour later, and it sent them all the original texts and emails again. And I was like, oh no, it just seems so silly. And so now I have to add that in and now they get an actual text that says you've been rescheduled. And then at the end, I haven't done this yet, but I have to put my 24 hours before and my hour before appointment reminders on this side too, so that if they reschedule, they still get a reminder text before their appointment. Does that make sense?
Amanda, do you you know you've got your tag saying appointment booked. Is that also an automation? So when they book the appointment, as soon as they book it, it does an automated tag, or do you have to? Is that a manual process?
No, it's automatic. So when they book their appointment, it checks to see if that appointment has been booked before or not. So if it has not been booked before, if it doesn't have that tag already, it goes here and it tags them as appointment booked. Then it sends me a message. It sends me a text message that says this person has scheduled their pickup. And then it sends them a message that says your appointment has been booked, and it sends them a confirmation email also. And then 24 hours before their appointment, it sends them a text, and it sends them another text an hour before. Guess what time it is? It's almost unveiling o'clock, you know, that kind of thing. So I kind of chat GPT'd some fun, different ways to do that. So if they don't have, I'm going to try to, I've got Zoom in the way here. If they don't have that, if they've already scheduled and they go to the reschedule, that means that they do have the tag that they got the first time over here. So they do have that tag. So then they'll get the reschedule reminder.
Yeah, that's great.
It was very complicated to set all that up, but
one thing I learned today, which they're recommending is good practice, is the actual first task to be done on any step. They were saying is to clear all the other workflows. So you actually remove all workflows and switch off the one that you're in now. So that one keeps on going, because what happens apparently is when you move them from workflow to workflow, or if they automatically move to a different workflow, it doesn't clear the history of what's already been done, right? So we've been having issues where Rihanna's moved someone from, say, step 3 into like, say, step 7, and they come back in the next day and then in step 4. But it's because they were still on the timer on the tag that was in step 3 that didn't get removed when moving them to the next step. So you've always got to put in that remove from all other workflows in. Otherwise, it can't keep reminiscence of older workflows and move them into wrong places.
that makes sense if there's a wait, especially if there's like a wait 3 days and then send them a follow-up email. they're gonna be stuck
Yeah.
in that too, even if you move them on.
Yeah. So that's why they say if you get in time to doing it with everyone, you know, then everything is cleared from the word go. So that's one issue we picked up on.
And
But
is that tag the create opportunity or create a remove?
It's called remove from all workflows.
Okay.
Liz. I've actually put in the engine today in the workplace today, just to show people what it's all about, because for a couple of weeks we've been having this issue where people have been moving to automatically to places where they shouldn't be. And I've spoken to several different people, and it's only today the guy helped me sort it out. He went, "This is the problem. If you do this, it'll sort it out for forever and a day, you know."
That makes sense.
Yeah, but I have got a problem with the calendar, which I'm 4 weeks in, and 4 or 5 weeks in, and they can't sort it out. Is at the moment, all my bookings get taken into light blue as appointments. They go into the Google calendar, and then they're supposed to then show on the calendar in the engine. Now, I had it all showing. I got told by one of the support team because I had an issue to delete the calendar and restart. So I deleted calendar, restarted, but now all the old stuff that was in there is not being re-imported, but the new stuff is getting re-imported. So there's a block somewhere saying, "I've already imported you once, I don't need to import you again." So I'm not sure how to get around that at the moment. So I don't know if anyone's got any ideas there.
Are you planning to use light blue forever? Or are you transitioning to using the
I want
engine?
to transition, but I've got appointments for 6 months in light blue, which I just want to move across, basically.
Mhm. Yeah, I just started, anybody that I've been booking with the engine, I've been making them, booking them in the engine and not booking them in my previous system, so that I'm starting from here forward and booking. That's why I was doing calendars, because I wanted all those automations to work.
Right,
So
yeah.
I've been trying not to use my old system with new bookings, and then just my old bookings, I just have the Google Calendar that is showing that they're on that calendar.
Right, okay.
One of the things I've been doing is trying to make them go from, as soon as you book them in the engine, using Zapier to send them straight to light blue as an appointment. But the Zapier, it will not pick up the actual appointment start date time. I've been on support for ages and it just doesn't seem to work. And I've come away, so I've not been able to talk to them. But one of the other things about the tag that you were talking about, Matt was saying about putting the tag on for appointment changes. Someone just changed an appointment today with me, and I've had to do it on the app. Well, you physically do it, and there's no way of move. It's, there's a few things that are going to be problems when you're trying to do things with the app when you can't be at a proper computer.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly if you change people to a client in this system, you can't, instead of them being a lead, as soon as they're booked, they're technically a client, but it doesn't show up in any of the pipelines on the app. So you can't move them along a pipeline in the app to do an automation by dropping them or moving them that way. You have to physically do it in, it's a bit faffy, if that makes sense. But yeah, but
Is that trying to move them from one pipeline to another?
Well, no, just moving them along the pipeline. You've got to go in and do it manually. You can't.
Yeah.
Andrew's frozen.
You can't go, you can't just drag across is what he's trying to say, I think. You have to go into their contact and actually click on the pipeline and click on the step, and then it'll move it.
Yeah, I haven't used it in the app as much as I have on desktop, but I have used it in the app, and I've been able to in the new, I think it's because I had let's see, what did I do in the app recently? The app I feel like is very clunky.
Yeah.
You know, to use in general. So yeah, I've had that problem too, but I haven't, even in the app, when you click on a contact, like you can't see their conversation. You can't see your conversations with them immediately either, which is really frustrating because that's the thing that you want to be able to see.
Yeah.
I think you can if you click on, I mean, I don't know, I'm just using the lead contact thing or lead connect.
Yeah.
I think if you click on the little bubble, then it, if you put search conversations, then if you come up with a person, it should show you all
Yes,
the.
but like if you're in opportunities and you see, like,
Oh,
if I look
yeah.
at who do I want to call today, and have I followed up with them, and have they followed up with me, and I'm in opportunities and I go to that person and I click on that person, I
Right.
don't see, like, you would think that the first thing you would see is your conversations with that client, but it's not. It's just their opportunity info and they're all, and the tasks and the notes and the appointments you can get to, but there's no like there's no form just to see the conversation that you've already had with them, which I think is very odd.
Yeah. But you got the same problem in the desktop version. You actually got to go into the contact to actually get to see the why answer and things like that, you know. So I do agree. I think that should be on the opportunities page because that is the main thing. But on the desktop, you can't do that either, you know.
Yeah, I'm just using my desktop for almost everything unless I have to use the app, which is not as convenient, obviously, but.
The app I like though, because people will text me or email me, you know, as when I'm out and about, and I'll get that text message and then I can go and look and see what they've said. So I just use the app for communication purposes, really. And I do, while I'm on the phone with people, you know, put them into I do it manually, but put them into a new category or step in the pipeline if I need to. That's pretty much all I use that for right now, but I don't know. I'm probably not as deep into it as you guys are and calendars and all the things. I'm just using it for communication and just to keep track of stuff.
Yeah, we're not the
You
people.
guys, sorry.
It's okay.
Do you guys see the notes I put on for the opportunities? You can see all your notes as well if you create an automation for it.
Yeah, that was very helpful.
I find that easier to do because you don't even have to come off the opportunities page.
So, you know, my vision prevents me from being very helpful to Lisa at this on the pipeline. I just can't see well enough. Hopefully that will improve. But my question is this. It feels to me like there's no glossary. There's no, like, what does round robin mean and why should we use it? That kind of stuff, you know? And it's like, it's almost like you're operating totally blind with no definitions, you know? And so if you're not getting good help out of the chat, which sometimes you do and sometimes you don't, then you don't even know what various things mean. Does anybody know that there is such a thing anywhere?
I don't know that there is. I know that the mentors have said that they will eventually have trainings for all of this, kind of specific to our uses. But in the meantime, for those of us who kind of want to get moving further ahead, we're sort of on our own. I did some YouTubing because the base platform is called Lead Connector. And so I did some YouTubing, and it's not, it's not exact because it's other people using the platform for other businesses and things like that. But there were a couple of videos that helped me when I was doing calendaring. But yeah, it's a little bit just trial and error at this point if you want to use it for anything more than the original pipelines that the mentors have set up for us.
Yeah, I don't have a CRM, so this is like absolutely brand new. I have no idea what they're talking about. So that's the only thing for me is it would be helpful if I understood the terminology better, because sometimes I'm like, well, what does that mean? What is that? You know, why do I want to use calendars? What's the purpose? You know, I just use my iCal, and you know, so right now it's in my regular email. So I am enjoying that I can email everybody and it's all right there and I can see it, and it's not, you know, but sometimes I do wish for people like me who, you know, I don't have a CRM, and I wasn't really planning on getting one until they kind of came up with this. And I was like, well, I'll try it and see what happens, but I've never, so to me, it's all brand new. Like, and there's no, like, there's nothing, I didn't know that you could even YouTube it, you know. That was the nice thing about Kartra, is when we had that, at least I could go on YouTube and find some stuff. But now I'm just like, well, I don't know where to find anything, you know, to help me understand all this. So anyway.
So lead connector, is that what you said, Amanda?
That's what I think. That's what I think the base platform is. And, you know, there are other businesses, other kinds of businesses using it similarly, but not exactly the same. And, you know, it's, again, it's not perfect. I also wish that there was just like Kartra had the, you know, the help sections that you could go on their, you know, platform and look and work through their trainings. I wish that there was that sort of thing too, just so that even if you wanted to just learn kind of how it worked too. But there were I found a couple videos with calendaring that sort of work, but yeah. And it's also, I think that it's changing all the time. Like when I first set up my calendars, I don't know if Darren knows this too. When I first set up my calendars, there were only 2 options. Now there are 4 options.
Yeah.
So like they're changing and growing and altering things all the time.
Yeah.
So
but I've noticed they're not as they grow in it, they're not quick enough to put out the information about what they're doing. You know, because if you go into calendars now, it's still not up-to-date information. You know, it's still a bit sort of old, you know.
Right. And that's how the YouTube videos were. They like my screen didn't look exactly like theirs, you know, the old video, because they had changed it by the time I, you know, got to it. So
I think one of the main things about it is it's obviously growing and learning, but if you can utilize the pipelines for your actions, the difference that it will make is monumental. I mean, I've created actions for my calendar, and I know that all of my appointments next week are 99.9% going to turn up because I've had so much interaction with them because of the automation, you know.
Yeah. Like I haven't learned the A4 or whatever things yet, because that's the next one.
yeah, I just set mine up normal. And then when I ran into a problem, I asked support and then they helped me figure that out. So I'm kind of just barreling ahead, trying things. And then when I run into issues, I can't tell you how many times I've texted somebody, I'm so sorry about the multiple, you know, texts that you just got. I'm using a new system and I'm working through it. And most people are nice about it. And they'll just say, that's okay, don't worry. But I have sent that a lot of times. People, I'm so sorry you got the cake smash email instead of the newborn email. Here's the right one, because I'm you know, messing up automations left and right.
Claire's been very patient there with her hand up for a long time.
Yes, she has.
You know, instead of shouting it like the rest of us, she just sits in there, mind her own business, hand
She's
up.
the owl.
Yeah. So what's your thoughts, Claire?
Okay, so just one quick thing, with regards to the app, if you're out and about and the phone app doesn't sort of service you too well, what I've been doing is I've got an iPad, and I just open it up as a web page and I just do personal hotspot, and you can do everything pretty much. It looks the same as it does on a desktop. So if you want to overcome that, if you're out and about more, that's the way to do it, which is quite handy. And there was another thing I was going to say, but I've forgotten now. What was I going to say? It will come to me in a bit, but that was the main thing. So and then the way to, I found it frustrating finding conversations on the phone. So I think because you can go around on the app, but if you go into let me just find it. Hang on. It's kind of a convoluted way, but you can find your conversations if you go into the little conversation thing there. You'll sort of see it on the little bubble. You should be able to see most of the stuff that that'll come up there, but it just won't be individual to the client. It'd be all of the conversations, I think. But I'd say that if you can, just pop on your iPad and then link up via a personal hotspot. And I'll try and remember the other thing I was going to say. Sorry, it'll come to me in a minute and I'll stick my hand back up.
Has anybody else started making funnels?
Yeah, funnel pages.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've got ones that are specific to I put them in text. So when it's that kind of, because on Facebook leads is a very different way of people coming into your business now. I do, my first interaction is the automatic welcome email that's in the pipelines, but I've actually done it as a fancy smancy one, just as the very first one, because I feel it gives a legitimacy to your business. And then the rest are just text ones, you know, not fancy schmancy ones. And then the first SMS that goes out, I've built funnel pages for the funnels that I'm running, where it just says, oh, before I give you a call, have a little look to see what it's all about. And then on their phone, they can click on it. I'm feeling between those two, generally people are a little bit better informed. And the ones that are probably the ones that are more interested in it. You can establish that early on in the conversation. So I've built out those, and then I'm building out another funnel page, but it's going to be the same actually, because they're on Facebook leads ads. But I don't think it's worth at the moment building out funnel pages in the traditional way, because nobody's running those funnels at the moment. But I'd say if you do the basic funnel pages without any form opt-ins, etc., if it changes back, all you've got to do is clone it and bung the form in. So if you're building your basic pages, you can then clone those and then make them fit for a funnel purpose if it goes back to the olden days.
So you don't have forms on your new kind of funnel pages. They're just,
no,
they're information pages.
Yeah, they've already opted in because it's on Facebook leads ads. They've already
Right.
opted in. You're not going to give them another form to opt into something they've already opted into.
Right.
So it's more of a, whereas before, if you're going in, they don't read the email. What I tend to do is to see how many open the emails first. Then I whip them into my first phone call thing first, because I feel that they're a little bit more engaged. That then has the link to the page, but obviously I don't ignore the others, but I'm hoping that they're not email readers, but they'll be text readers, which means they click on the link to read about it. So, and some people say, oh no, I haven't had a chance, but a lot say, oh yeah, I've had a quick look. So it just gives them a little bit more reasoning. Well, what did I fill in? Because a lot go, I remember filling in a form and I can't really remember. So
where are you seeing that they read the email?
So if you go to there's two details. There's details at the bottom and details on the side with three little dots. If you click on the three dots, it tells you if it's been opened or not, or just delivered. So at the bottom, there's three dots that bring the email up, so you can see what you've sent, and that's on the bottom, but it's just on the side, and it will just say details with three dots.
And sometimes it's kind of hidden, so put your mouse over and hover, because sometimes you can't see it. I was like, what three dots? You just have to kind of scroll, put your mouse or whatever you're using and hover kind of over that area and you'll see it.
The only problem is though, sorry.
It doesn't give you a time. That's one thing I find annoying. When the other CRM I've got, it tells you how many times they clicked on it and what times they opened it. So you know basically how interested they are. In the engine, it just says opened or delivered. So I'm thinking if there's a suggestion for improvement, I'd love to know what time it was opened and a click rate, as it were. And on my CRM, if you've put in an email, for instance, you've put a link in there, it tells you where they clicked on the link as well. So those would be beneficial things, just so you can gauge how interested they are, or any other thing that you're doing for. There was another reason I need it for a client at the weekend, but that will be handy. But nonetheless,
sorry, I was going to say you can do the when it's opened, just by creating automation to send it to your notes when it's opened. I've got that on mine.
Yeah,
It doesn't have all the details, but you'll get a notification saying someone's opened their email, so it saves you a little time.
I just don't want to have all that. There's only so much information you can have ping into your phone. I just want to be able to go into my opportunities, look at them, see who's opened it. And then sometimes I don't want to know immediately, you know, if it's any other email, just nothing to do with funnels. I don't necessarily need to know, but I might want to look back and see when they opened it to make sure they did. So I wouldn't be overly keen to have my phone pinging. And I think if you do send emails or SMSs, I'm sure you pay for the SMSs that get sent to your own phone. So can you imagine the cost of that in the UK?
Tell me about it.
It's going to get quite costly. So
it doesn't necessarily have to go via an email, text or anything. It can just be added to that client's notes. Is how I put it. Then it adds the date and time that they opened it. So this person opened at this time, and then it just sends an internal notification rather than an email or an SMS.
Would it send another note if they opened it twice, for instance? So if they then reread it?
No, probably not.
No,
Yeah,
and that's often a good gauge. You see how many times people open it, because and you can gauge what type of person they are, because some will open it, have a quick look, then they'll go in and study it. It's quite interesting to see what people sort of how they behave, as it were.
Yeah, but the only reason I put it in place was because I wasn't sure if they were all going to spam, because even if it says delivered, it can be in their spam mail.
Yeah.
So if they've not opened, if it doesn't say opened, then it's either they've not opened it or it's in their spam. So I put it in place to make sure that if my automations are slightly different. So if someone opens the email, if someone doesn't open the email, it sends them a text saying, "Did you receive the email?" Because I was getting so many people not turning up for appointments, and I thought it was to do with stopping the booking deposit. Then I thought it's to do with my member of staff needing a bit more training. But I think it turns out that a lot of stuff was going to spam. So they weren't getting the confirmation email. They weren't getting the nurturing emails. And literally then a week before they were due to come in, or that week when we called them on the phone to go through it all again, they didn't have no clue they were supposed to be coming in. So I've had a big thing with that. So now my automations look ridiculous. There's like if else's all over the place.
They're so confusing to set up, those if else's. They just, my brain hurts looking at those.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I could do it.
I look at Andrew's pipeline the other day, and I thought, God, that looks so brilliant, but there's so many if else's in there.
Oh.
It's that's my next stage in getting to is doing the booking automations.
Yeah.
With our newborn clients, because we book on the due date and not the actual booking date, I'm going to have a booking due date automation set up. Then once they notify me that the baby is born, that's going to then have to trigger another booking one, but for an actual booking date, a new automation sequence, you know?
Well, I've done mine a little differently, Darren. With my newborns, I made a calendar that just is newborn due dates. So I do them on the Sunday. I just have due dates on the Sunday of the week that they're due. I don't keep their actual due date on the date that it is, because it doesn't matter anyway. They're not going to have their due date. So I just put them on Sunday. So on my calendar, all of the due dates, and it just says due date, their name and due date. So I know how many babies I'm expecting that month. And then when they reach out to me and say that their baby's born, they actually get booked on a newborn session calendar for the date and time. And then that session triggers the automations for the actual session. The due date one just triggers the automations for like a couple months before their due date.
Yeah,
they have a long thing, I can send them the thing, or I can call the nurturing stuff. So that's how I did it. I have a due date calendar and a session calendar.
Right, okay. That might be an idea.
It's also worth, when you doing your calendars, if you're doing them for viewings as well, make sure you do a viewing calendar for each different kind. I had a customer getting like 3 sets of automations because I thought it's just a viewing. It's a very similar email per one. And yeah, they were getting like 2 or 3 texts, exactly the same sort of text, because they were going into the pet viewing pipeline, they were going into the boudoir one and the family one. So I had to duplicate the calendar and change the names. That when it set up the trigger, it was setting up the trigger for the right calendar.
Yeah, it can get very complicated. So it's, it's baby steps when you start to do it. I always say, I did just newborn from, due date, and then the calendar and the design consultation and the actual ordering appointment, like all of them are separate, but I did one specific genre first. Then I did the next genre with all those same things, so that you can kind of figure out what tags you need for each specific one, so that you don't get doubles or duplicates.
How do you guys do your actual bookings? Which part of the engine do you use to book them in?
I do them in their actual client card. There's that appointments tab on the far right. So I do it there. When I'm on the phone with them and they book something, I put it in there and it triggers all of the automations that way.
See, I found that the one thing you can't do through that is like the notes and stuff. You can add a couple of notes, but so for mine, I've set the calendar up in a web page that's only sort of, viewable by me and my booking person, so that when it goes through it, when you're booking in, then it comes up with a form to fill out. So she can fill out who's coming to the shoot, and then that gets added to the notes. Because the one thing I couldn't see when I was doing it through the client itself, like you were saying, is because when we do take booking deposits again now on Saturdays, but there isn't a place there when you're booking them in to take that booking deposit. Whereas if you link it to a web page and create a little page to use it and put your calendar on there and add your form in the calendar itself, you can take the booking deposit then. And then the optimization.
You have to put in all of their information. You have to put their name and their address and their email. Like, you have to ask them all that on the phone and get all that information if you're doing it that way, right?
Yeah, I mean, you've got most of the information anyways from the leads generally, but I think as part of our booking process, we kind of do it that way anyway, because when we're talking to them about who's coming to the session, we're typing it in as we go kind of thing, and then it just adds those little bits to it. So so then my automation now goes, once it's booked in, it duplicates those details, who's coming to the shoot, to the notes section again, so that when you're in opportunities and you go to the notes bit, you don't have to click onto them as a client. You can see them there as well.
Yeah, I've done something similar, but a little different, where when I book them in, it sends in that automatic text that it sends that they've been booked. There's a link to fill out the form. I call it a questionnaire. So they fill out the questionnaire, and then it automatically adds that to the notes too, so that I don't have to type it all in. They do it, because I ask them a bunch of different things, especially with newborns, about like what color the nursery is and all that stuff. So, I have them fill out that big long form.
And then another thing that's people you guys should be wary of as well is when you get duplicate leads, right? In the engine, is joining them together, right? Because I've tried joining them together at before, and if there's something different, like an email is different or whatever, it can mix things up. Because we had one client, she came through a lead form, so all the details were connected, but then she started speaking to us through Facebook. Now her Facebook email and her email that she sent the form in were two different things, but when you joined them together, we lost all the messages from the Facebook because it didn't link up. Luckily enough, it's still in Facebook, but they weren't in the engine.
Ooh.
And now she started messaging us again on Facebook, and now she duplicates herself again,
That's weird. I have no idea.
So you could wind up with 3-4 versions of the same person.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Oh, somebody
Which is
said
a,
you can
which is a
merge
bit of a
them,
problem.
select which info you want to keep from each.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's exactly what you do. I've merged tons, and you it's you select what information you want from each. So you select the master record, which I suggest will be the original opt-in. The one that you then select what you want to go into the master will be the Facebook or whatever social media stream she's coming in from. And then what it will do is it'll bring all the social media stream into the master, which was the original opt-in. That's the way round to do it. So there's a way of merging.
only if it's the same email used on the they log in on Facebook to what they've given you on the master master one.
I've not come across that, because on the Instagram or whatever it is, they don't generally, there is no email to be seen when I've done it. So I've not had a problem. I just make sure that the master is the opt-in, which is the original that you received.
Yeah, that's what we done. But we lost all the Facebook messages because the email address was different. So to me, there should be a place for a couple of email addresses, and there should also be a place for a couple of different telephone numbers, because
there is, Darren. You add the field in. You've got to go into settings and add another field in. I imagine you can do that with the emails as well.
You can add multiple emails, not just one.
You can have multiple telephone numbers, and I would imagine you can have multiple emails.
Yeah, is that just a custom field?
No, you can do it if you go onto the client and you go where the email is, where it says verified, the little pencil tool, and it brings it up and it's got add email underneath it. So you can add a second email address.
How does the engine know which email to use for any communication?
It will use which whenever you select, but at least you have both records on there. I'm not sure if it'll come in, if an email from one of the second address will come into the conversation necessarily. But you can pop the other emails in.
It might solve your problem, Darren, if that's what you're having. I personally haven't had that, but if it's a belt and braces thing. So, but I definitely have had it with phone numbers, because I've had some who called me weirdly through the engine on a landline, but they opted in through a mobile. So you just then merge the two numbers together to bring the records into one.
Right, okay. I'll have a look into that more then.
I think earlier somebody asked something about funnel pages, and one of the things, we're the people who are going to wait for the training to come, but then there is a level of impatience, you know. So Lisa does a few events a year where she would like to have, and when we had Kartra, which we've already discontinued, she had a QR code that she could just print up copies or put them on cards, and then people could scan the QR code. It would take them to a landing page, and they could, you know, opt into us and schedule and do something. Now we've lost that. So she has an event coming up in September, and she would like to be able to give a QR code, but we don't know exactly how to build a landing page.
The funnel's actually pretty easy to figure out on your, it was actually one of the easiest things. So I bet if you go into the sites and go to funnels, it's almost exactly like Kartra. Like, so I think you can definitely do that. Build a funnel page.
How do I get the QR code? Where's the landing page at?
So the landing page, it'll give you a link. It'll give you an actual website link. Yes, that you can turn into a QR code just like you would normally.
Okay.
Yeah, at the very when you go into funnels, you'll see that.
But as of this moment, we don't have any training videos from Fully Booked Photographer to help us with that. We're kind of on our own.
Right.
But you don't need it though, because if you built pages in Kartra, you would definitely be able to build pages in the engine. So did you build your own funnel pages in Kartra? Then you have zero problems in the engine. There's just a couple of little extra bits, like because I built my own website, and it's just rows and columns. Everything's rows and columns. If you work in rows and columns, you can work in rows and columns anywhere. It's just a couple of little tiny bits at the end that ever so slightly different. They'll help you and tell you where to put it. But I would just go ahead and build it, because you built your Kartra pages, you'll be able to build these. They're exactly the same.
Yeah, and if you want, I mean, I can hop on a Zoom with you for 10 minutes to get you started, because that's probably all it would take is like a quick 10-minute, easy, just,
Okay.
you know,
Does it
to get
automatically
started.
take you to the thank you page like it did before? I mean, how?
Yeah, you
Okay.
set-
Yeah,
you
it's
set it
like the
up that
next
way.
step. It's really, I literally,
Okay.
10 minutes, we can
Yeah.
hop on and you can
Okay.
get started with it. It'll be, you can do that. Once you see what the buttons are, then you'll be fine.
Okay.
And it's literally steps. So you'll go into a folder and all your steps will be there together. It's really simple.
It's
And it'll
actually
be
easier
nice
than
and
Kartra.
tidy. Yeah,
Oh,
be
really?
tidy, nice, yeah.
Okay.
It's tidier than my website, to be fair. You've got a lovely folder, and in that lovely folder is every step that you've created that you'll be able to see. It goes from bump to bump to bump wherever you want it to go. I'm not bothered because I'm doing on funnel, doodle, whatever it is, leads ads. So I only ever have one page. But when I go back to the olden days, if we ever do, I'll clone it and I'll just whack in a couple of extra steps.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah, I
You'll
made
be
one
fine.
for my wizard sessions because I wanted to have a checkout page and a thank you page. You know, if they wanted to pay on funnel, I wanted to have that because it was a direct offer and it was very easy to set up. I actually am still paying for Kartra for one more month. I'm getting the last of my templates out of there and transferring them into the new engine. But I realized that if you cancel Kartra, you lose everything. You lose all your wording and all your everything.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to do that because I had Santa and I had holiday and I had all kind of things in there. And it was killing me to just, get rid of that entirely. So I'm finishing migrating the wording. I'm just literally copying, pasting.
I just went in and screenshotted everything I could screenshot.
That's smart. Yeah. I just didn't want to have to retype it. So yeah, but you can definitely, if you go into sites and go into funnels and just play with it for a minute. And then if you get stuck, just hit me up and I'll do a Zoom with you for like 10 minutes and get you on your way.
All right.
Has anyone tried making a newsletter through the engine yet?
No, I've
Yeah.
not.
You know what? Again, that's just if you've ever used any other thing, it's just easy.
We've never used anything for newsletter, but I'm assuming it'd be the same as a funnel, wouldn't it?
No, you just go into emails, go into marketing, emails and templates. So if you build a template, obviously if you have a similar sort of layout, you can then clone those templates. And then you just send them as a bulk, but what they suggested that you drip feed them. So rather than send one mass, you drip feed them every so many minutes or whatever, depends on how many you've got, so that it's not like a whole load of spam going out. But again, it's the same principle, Darren. If you've built a funnel page, email templates are just rows and columns. That's all they are. It's the same principle. So if you can build funnel pages and you build them in websites, Kartra, you'll build them in the engine. If you built them in the engine, you'll be able to whip up a newsletter in minutes as a layout, and then whatever wording you want to put in, and then just bulk send it, but with a drip feed.
No, thank you.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Yeah, 5 meals every 5 minutes. Yeah, I forgot what the rule of thumb was. Absolutely.
Has anybody done the trying to get a Google review? I've sent out a couple Google reviews, but I don't see anything coming back. And I don't know if that's because people haven't done it, or it's just not showing up, or
they'll tell you if the engine will notify you, but the thing is, it's all in your email that you send out asking for the review. So I've got go into the reviews bit and just make sure that the wording that you use to ask for the review is not just, it's reminiscent of you. So mine's very personal to me.
I changed all of that and I went in. It's just weird because I had somebody that said, "Oh, I gave you Google review," and I'm like, I can't see it anywhere. I don't know where it's at. So I don't know what to do. I'm just like, why? Where is it? And it's not on the engine. It's not even on my Google page.
Have you checked the sorry, I was gonna say, if you go onto the reputation, there's the requests and it tells you if it's failed or opened. Have you checked on there?
I don't think so. I don't know. I'll have to go check that.
But mine will come
I did one today, sorry.
And yeah, mine will come up. The other beautiful thing about having the reviews and the reputation thing set up is when you're building funnel pages, you just whack your reputations element in there and it brings up the Google and it just automatically updates. And not only having to copy and paste pictures anymore, it literally is, you can do it on your web. If you've got a separate website, whack it on there as well. So it means you are always on the latest Google review, and then people can scroll through.
It's one of the forms, you just choose
No,
it?
it's an element. It's an element.
An
So we
element.
know. Yes. So when you're on building a funnel page, go onto elements, and I think you'll see it's either reputations, reviews. I can't remember the name of it. Just drag it, whack it in, and then you can customize it to your brandy, businessy, colory type
Love it.
things.
I didn't know that.
Put a nice little lovely stroke around the box, make it all look pretty, bung it wherever you want it, and it means that funnel page, whenever you release it, will always have the most up-to-date Google reviews rather than copying, snapshotting.
Oh, that I
pictures.
did not know that.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
missed the whole thing because I'm looking. I don't know where it's on the page where I can find that I've sent them. Like
you're on reputation.
Yeah.
And then at the top on mine, it's got reputation, overview, and then requests.
Right.
It should be under requests.
It doesn't even show that I've even.
Have you set it up? That's the next. Have you actually linked with your Google account?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. It's just weird because I could go back into the contacts and find where I sent it, but it's not showing up under requests, which is interesting.
Might be a call.
Have to research that, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, because I've got all of my mine are my requests are here.
I've got one, but I know I've sent out more than that. So
I don't know that I've sent any, so mine is blank. I need to get on that.
Oh, I'm terrible with it.
I wanted to make an automation that will however many days after whatever happens, it'll send that out to them, and I just haven't gotten around to doing that yet.
But then again, sometimes you might want to be particular about who you want to Google review you.
That's
So I'll
true.
be very careful about it being
Or maybe
automated.
I'll just make a template and then save the wording. Like, do you have
No, it's there. It's a template. All you do is you make the template up in reputations, and you click request, and it does it all for you. So effectively, it is a template. It's just a button press that you do. Obviously,
and you do separate for different genres as well, or is it just one?
No, you don't need to have different genres. I'll read you what mine says. What does mine say? Hang on a minute. Let me find it. It's just you don't. I think you can overcomplicate things by having everything different. It's a Google review that you can make. One size fit all. If I can find mine, which I can't. Hang on. It's just the thing. Like, I know it means a lot when you're really busy to give a review, I think is what I say. Hang on a minute. Oh, can't even find it now. Oh,
where is
for goodness sake.
What is that link to that reputation
thing?
It should be, because it came from my.
So it says, I love that and these are done by SMS. So I love that you're a part of the Wooden Hill family, and I was wondering if you could leave me a review on Google. Client reviews mean the world to me, especially as I know how busy you are juggling life and what seems to be trying to manage the world. Being able to read your reviews will give others a chance to get to know me through your experience, and it will help them to see if I'm the photographer for them. Claire Hart, link. So basically, you're going to get yourself in a right old fluster with, is it this one? Just do one and you're fine.
But if you're going to reputations and you go into the cogwheel at the top, that takes you to the page, and you can set up your SMS review request.
Found it.
Weird. I was just looking at it. I've done all that. It's just I went back to look at the contacts that I've sent them, and they're in their their feed but they're not showing up under, and maybe I don't have something clicked. I don't know.
So it shows that you emailed that request to them in their feed?
Yeah. Yep. In their feed, but it doesn't show in reputation for some reason. I'm not sure why.
I would, if I was you, I'd actually get onto the chat and chat with the engine guys.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
if you haven't sort of worked out who the good ones are yet, you'll have to start from the beginning. But I usually sign on, I go, oh, it's that person. I log off, wait 5 minutes, sign back, I'll go, oh, okay, I'll speak to you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
You're playing Russian roulette with your helper, huh?
yeah.
It's fun. I found them all to be really good, actually. I don't know. I'm not experienced that. Perhaps I've not been on as much.
Yeah, sometimes they're, sometimes I always feel like I'm not asking the question the right way or something because.
Yeah, I feel like that as well.
And then I'm like, I don't know how else to ask it. But this is what I'm trying to do, you know, and I'm just, sometimes I get frustrated. I'm like, it's all right, just don't worry about it. I got to come back to it later or whatever.
Sometimes I will literally say, like, when I click this button and I'll send a screenshot, this shows up. I don't want this, I want that. Like, I'll literally send screenshots because sometimes I don't know how to say the right thing. And eventually they figure it out.
Yeah.
Mine is full of screenshots as well.
I don't mind doing the Loom videos. It's just I only have a 5-minute window to say that. And I'm like, sometimes I'm like, I don't know if I can explain this in 5 minutes, you know, so. But sometimes you get somebody that's like on it and you're like, okay, yes, awesome, that's great. And you figure it out in about 10 seconds. Then sometimes you're like, okay, it's been like 45 minutes and I still have no idea. And neither do they, you know,
Really?
so.
Wow, God, they've always sorted me out really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's be
You're
honest,
an owl. You know exactly what the problem
in that
is.
respect.
So what was that? Sorry.
I just said, you're an owl. You already know the problem before you ask the question. And sometimes we're just like, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I must admit, I have got a very specific list of things that I go in. I know what I want to achieve. Yes, so that, and I only go in when I know what I'm looking to achieve and what end result.
I think part of it is that I don't know what the end goal is supposed to be. Like, they're like, what are you trying to achieve? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I want this to happen, but I don't know all the steps that have to happen to make that happen. So it's hard for me to even explain what I want.
You don't know what the engine can do and what it's capable of doing.
Right.
And the thing is, sometimes you think, well, I wanted to do this, this, and this, but it's not capable of doing that, you know?
Or you have to do 5 other steps before it'll do that, but I don't know that. and they don't know I don't know it. And I don't know how to explain that I don't know it. And it's, yeah.
The only thing that the engine doesn't do so far that I have found that I'm going to miss if I give up my CRM is my current CRM. I can send a quote with multiple package options, and then the client can select what they want. So if I'm doing something that has packages that they pre-purchase or they pre-select, which I don't do all the time, but I do sometimes, especially at the holidays, I'll have them pre-select a package knowing what they want. And I don't think there's a way in the engine to do that, to send like a quote page. I recently had somebody reach out to us and who wanted to book us for a beach proposal. He wants to propose to his girlfriend, and they found us because we do beach families. So I wanted to send him 2 or 3 options of packages that we would do, you know, kind of they're vacationing here, so it's kind of an all-inclusive package. And that was really hard to find a way to do that for him in the new system. So.
Have you looked at proposals and estimates? I don't know how have you looked at that yet? I
haven't. I thought there was only invoices.
So look under proposals and estimates. I think it's new because I've just gone in and had a little look. So that might solve your problem.
What I was going to say, if it's able to send invoices, it should be able to send quotes.
So that may solve your problem, Amanda.
Where is proposals and estimates? Is that in? I didn't see that as an option.
If you go into payments, and then you'll see invoices, proposals and estimates, new, orders, subscriptions, transactions, but it's new, so you may have looked for it. It may not have been there before.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe it wasn't there before.
Yeah. So, but then that's the beauty of it. I think they're adding and doing stuff all the time. and sort of like probably listening to what people's requirements are, and then acting upon it, aren't they?
All right, guys, thank you so much for your time today. So I'm gonna go ahead and send this recording maybe tomorrow so that you can also review this. So rest assured that we will gonna go ahead and do this regularly each month. I really appreciate all your time, guys, and see you on our presentation later. Bye for now.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.